Okay, hello. I'm going to do a simulation of a traffic stop. Now just imagine for a moment that you're in a vehicle with me. And first of all, that you are not a passenger, because only taxis and buses and trains and so on have passengers. You're just an occupant and I am an operator. This vehicle is not engaged in commerce. I'll get back to that in a moment. So in this simulation, let's say an officer just pulled me over because he's claiming I didn't use my turn signal or I didn't come to a complete stop at a stop sign. A rule infraction. So now I stopped. Now he's going to walk up to the window. So we're going to begin dialogue. There's a lot of things that you can mention first. It doesn't really matter who starts dialogue, either you or the officer. But one of the things you tell them is that you say, "Sir, I have a marked vessel because I have the United States flag on the front and back of the vehicle." Why is that important? Because when he approaches your vehicle, he's going to have the fringed flag on his uniform with the yellow fringe. That is not a pretty decoration on his uniform. That means something. One of the things you want to ask him if he has audio-video recording, because you want a record. If for some reason it's his audio-video is not, say his equipment's broken, well then you ask for a supervisor to come and get equipment that is working. Another thing you want to mention that you are recording. See, like in my vehicle here, I have two cameras, one facing each way. And then I have a third camera that'll be facing toward the window. So you let them know that you're recording as well. Well, he's going to ask for your driver's license, insurance, and registration. One thing about the police officer, they go to school, and this is like, for him, it's a choreographed event. They train, so it becomes second nature to him, especially if he's done it a few times. Also, there's a psychological factor with a traffic stop, especially at nighttime. They want to disorient you. They want to distract you with lights. It's a way of disarming you with information. Now he's going to ask for your, paperwork. Well, what I do is say, "Sir, you have to use the magic words, because in legal land it's all sorcery and witchcraft." He's going to say something harmless. "Could I see your paperwork?" He wants to avoid the word magic. You say, "Sir, if you want to confiscate my documents, then I need a confiscation receipt." And then you list the reasons why. I mean, stop and think about it. When an officer pulls you over, he doesn't ask you to scrape off the inspection sticker, or he doesn't tell you to remove the license plate and hand it to him. He can come over, he could visually look at the inspection sticker and the license plate on the back. So, and if you would just hold your license up to him, just imagine this was a license. If you would just hold it up to him, that's not good enough. He wants to fondle it in his fingers to take possession. And that's called joinder. If you surrender your documents to the police officer without objection, without making a demand for a confiscation receipt, that's an admission of guilt. You just screwed yourself. I mean, you're going to cooperate. You're going to surrender documents, but with a stipulation. You want a confiscation receipt. And if he refuses, well, it doesn't matter, because you're going to have that preserved it's going to be on his audio-video recorder and on your, I recommend that you have cameras in the car. Now, if you have a so-called good driving record, you don't wait to cross your fingers to ask to see if the officer is just going to issue you a warning. You can request one. For example, if you were a day late making a credit card payment and you have a good payment history, you can call up the credit card company and talk to the service rep and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm a day late. Can you waive the late fee? And if based on your payment history, they'll do it. Likewise, if you got a good driving record, then you ask the officer, I'm requesting just a warning this time. And then if he denies it, well, we got a record of it. Now, if he decides to issue a citation, this document here is a minefield of treachery and deception. What most people don't realize, what you call a driver's license ceased to exist in 1933. For a license to be a license, it has to be signed by an issuing authority. In a later video, I'll explain that the only document or license that you have in relation to your vehicle is the title, because that is signed by an issuing authority, the Secretary of Transportation. In this case, I'm in Pennsylvania. So, if he's going to have his citation, but what he's going to want to do is he's going to want to serve you with a copy. And you got to tell the officer, sir, if you're going to serve me with any paperwork today, I'm making a formal demand that you serve me with the liability. That means you have to serve me with the original. I retain that. He can't do that because along the side of the road, he's violating the Securities Exchange Act. Because this becomes a negotiable instrument, has a QSIP number, and it has a total due, an amount tallied. There's everything wrong with here. First of all, one thing about the summons here, there is the four corners rule. It's what things are in boxes. Like even this, the amount is in a separate box. I don't know if you can see here, but the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania says citation, summons, even the citation number, that's outside the box. For example, in paragraph 4, it says driver number. Well, you got to tell the officer, you're not driving, you're not engaged in commerce, you're just operating a vehicle, not a motor vehicle. Drivers operate motor vehicles, and an operator, this is a pleasure craft. This is a recreational vehicle. It's not a motor vehicle. Federal government has defined a motor vehicle as one engaged in commerce. So now, he's going to use more trickery. He's going to say, sir, you don't have to sign if you don't want to. You want to sign. Because you want to sign your name, agent of, then you put down under duress and coercion. I mean, this guy's a gun, a taser. You have the threat of violence right here on the outside of your door. And then you write down non-negotiable. You could put non-negotiable on the border here, on the margin. See, on the back side of a citation, you have rules and obligations. That's contract language. See, by this paper is evidence of a contract between you and the police officer. That's the joinder. That's the deception. They don't tell you that. You have to make a demand, sir, that because this is a rule infraction, well, we don't go to a magisterial district. We're going to have a hearing in Harrisburg before the Department of Transportation. See, venue pertains to the territorial jurisdiction, like if there's injury or property damage. If there's no injury or property damage, then the magisterial district doesn't apply. See, they want to criminalize what happened as fast as possible. That's because they're going to make more money. The 2012 audit report for Pennsylvania, within 67 counties, the magistrates raked in over $451 million in traffic citations alone. This is big business. This is theft. And I'm going to try and reform what takes on here. What else can I talk about today? My one argument is that a police officer cannot prosecute a unilateral contract between two parties, which would be me and the Commonwealth, and he's not a party to it. This is why they have to use deception to obtain joinder. So now, you could write on the margin, wrong venue. Now it's called, I think it's called the subject matter jurisdiction. Your so-called driver's license is a unilateral contract that was created in Harrisburg, which Pennsylvania, that's the state capital. So it's the contract that was breached. Now the municipality, they waived their contract. And the municipality, before a stop sign can be put up, they have to pass an ordinance, and then the stop sign can be placed. But you get pulled over for a stop sign, the officer is not allowed to cite the ordinance, because what is a municipality? It's a municipal corporation. Their ordinances are corporate policy, and those that policy only applies to members of that corporate society. But see, they want you to waive your original jurisdiction, which would be having a hearing in Harrisburg before the Department of Transportation, and they want you to get you on the criminal side as fast as possible. Well, they have no obligation to tell you that this is like a step 2. They don't tell you that there's a step 1. And because they don't want you to know that. So this is why if you receive this, you got to tell you, sir, you have to serve me with the liability. That means you have to put I leave here with the original. Now, he can't do that, because then he's committing fraud. Once you sign a citation, then all the words on the back of here become activated. On the back of a citation, it says rights and obligations. That's contract language. And paragraph 1, it says the original of this traffic citation summons will be filed before the magisterial district judge. Well, they have magisterial district judge in uppercase lettering. That signifies a corporation. Well, when you sign the front of this, if you would just sign it, then this becomes instructions you give to the officer. You're telling him to file the original. See, if you leave the scene of a traffic stop without the original in your possession, you dishonored the bill, and then you just criminalized the transaction. This is all trickery and deception, what they do here. So if the police officer refuses to serve you with the liability by serving you with the original, you just won the case. Because now by him refusing to transfer the liability to you, then now it's in his possession, now he's obligated to pay it, not you. So my one tactic would be, when you go to the magistrate's office, that you file a motion to dismiss, wrong venue. This should be going to the Department of Transportation for the original hearing. And you want to file a separate action that the officer violated the Securities Exchange Act. This is a negotiable instrument. This is like what takes place at a restaurant. After you're done eating, the waitress doesn't hand you the copy of the guest check. She hands you the original. By you accepting the original, she's transferred the liability. But just because you accept the liability, that doesn't mean you waive your right to dispute, because you can go to the cashier and says, hey, my food was great, except the waitress made a mistake. She puts down here that I got French fries and gravy. I only got the French fries, no gravy, so we have to make a price adjustment. How would you feel if you got done eating, instead of the waitress handing you a guest check, she hands you a citation? This is what it amounts to. They want to criminalize this transaction because they're going to get more money. I mean, speaking of the skullduggery they use. If you hand the officer your driver's license, they say, wait a minute, officer, that is a unilateral contract that allows me to engage in commerce under 26,000 pounds. At the moment, I am not engaged in commerce. I'm only traveling. This is my friend here. He's an occupant. Now, that would shift burden on the officer to prove that you were engaged in commerce. They have all the default settings to the officer's benefit. The main default setting is that when he approaches you in the car, he's allowed to assume that you waived all your rights right from step one. So now it's your burden to invoke these rights, but how can you invoke rights if you don't know they exist? Because if you just hand over if the police officer asks for your driver's license and you just hand it to him, then he's going to assume you are engaged in commerce, and that will allow him to attach surcharges to the bill. So to recap for this video here, this is going to be like a take one. Officer comes up to the vehicle. You want to verify he has his audio-video recording. You're going to tell him that you have your cameras rolling. You're asking him for him to just issue a warning, because you have the right to ask him, because you have a good driving, so-called good driving record. If he's going to serve you with any papers, you're making a demand. You want the original. You accept the liability. Sure, if you claim I did something wrong, then you serve me with the liability. You serve me with the bill. Because in legal land, it's like honor and dishonor. I can't stress enough. You leave the scene of a traffic stop with a copy and not the original, you just committed a criminal act. Then you just criminalized what took place, and now they got you on the criminal venue. Like I said, you're right on the margin, non-negotiable. Because this is wrong here. If it says, paragraph 4, your driver number. Well, what's the relevance? You were driving. You were only operating a vehicle, not a motor vehicle. You weren't driving a motor vehicle. I can't stress enough. Another thing, too, is I've been researching on. I keep $1 postage stamps. I have like my little emergency kit. So where I sign, I take a $1 postage stamps and I lay it diagonally on the line, and then I sign my name over the postage stamp, and thereby I cancel it out and I become the postmaster. This is a vessel. And because if you lay it on water, it will float. It's a vessel. I gotta love the legal profession, how they can split hairs down to the subatomic level. This is a vessel because its cargo is information that's going to go and be docked, issued a docket number. The magistrate's office is a dock. And the separate courtroom, that's a ship and dry dock. I'll talk about that in another video. Now, by you putting a postage stamp on here, well, every road is a postal route, then you're specifying jurisdiction. I can claim that you want, because your so-called driver's license, even your vehicle, this is all your vehicle's federal property. You don't own it. And so then you want to go to federal court. They want to fast track everything to minimize profit-loss ratios. Now, the one thing about a police officer, in an instant, he can turn into the bully monster. They're trained in psychology. If they think you know a little bit about the law, they're going to say, well, what college did you go to? Are you F. Lee Bailey? Or... So you answer questions with the questions. They say, what law school did you go to? They want to be, someone that has knowledge, that's power. And they don't like that, so they want to disarm you, to have you doubt yourself. Officer pulls me over. Oh, well, we'll be here all day. Doesn't matter. He wants to finalize this deal so he can go down the road and catch somebody else. The longer he stays here, the more money he's losing. Too bad. Well, in closing for now, look, I realize this is like a disclaimer. All roads are a shared space, so we need rules. That's a no-brainer. I mean, I think everybody wants to go about their business and come home each day safe and sound. I mean, stuff like using your turn signals and following basic safety rules. I mean, how could anyone argue against that? But these police officers aren't hiding in the bushes for safety. They're there to make money. Most of your municipal corporations, they have budget problems. They're strapped for cash. These officers have to go hunting, go pillaging, because all this money they collect, indirectly it goes back into their paychecks and their pensions. They have to, it's like they're hunter-gatherers. They're herding. I mean, we don't have peace officers anymore. We have corporate officers. And this is just corporate theft. So like I said, this is just like a take one, and I'll upload this on YouTube, and then the next part of this video we're going to talk about what takes place in the magistrate's playground. All right.